getting tougher and tougher.
For years, this newsstand kept the downtown crowd informed, but time and technology changed that.
Papers are going away. We're not able to get international papers or the U.S. papers.
The red light's just like a pointer.
It's where collaboration leads to creation. Maker spaces are turning ideas into reality.
Our mission is to make the kind of tools here accessible to as many people as possible.
It's really good. You want to try jar?
Blend the right ingredients with a dash of patience and a bit of tradition, and the result is a winning recipe.
Tinker bar?
These stories and more next on CityStream. Hi, I'm Lori Matsukawa. Welcome to CityStream, coming at you from Seattle's iconic Asian Art Museum in Volunteer Park. In just days, it'll reopen to the world after a 3-year closure. Built in 1933, this museum has not seen a substantial renovation or restoration until now. In addition to all the upgrades, another change. The museum will offer a thematic rather than geographic exploration of Asian art. Much more on this stunning site just ahead. As the Asian Art Museum ushers in a bright new era, the lights have gone dark at a different Seattle institution. For decades, the Pike Place Market newsstand fed a community hungry for headlines. But times have changed, and a dwindling demand for printed papers has led to the demise of First and Pike News. Producer Ian DeVere chronicles the newsstand's final day.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
It's cold out.
Yeah, it is.
It's snowing.
No, it ain't. Thank you, Barb. 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. Thank you.
Today's the day. I thought the last day of the decade would be a good day to shut it down.
Oh, it's just getting tougher and tougher to get and sell magazines. We've seen a change in who's in the market. There's a lot more tourists. You know, we used to have stacks and stacks and stacks of papers out into the hallway, and everybody that lived downtown would come by and get one, but now that's not the case. So papers are going away. We're not able to get any of the international papers or the U.S. papers, so that's changing.
Well, it was originally one of the very first Bartels. Then, later they moved out, and it was a day stall.
There were market tables that came right down to where the newsstand is, and they were used seldom. So there were just people camped out on them.
Sebi had a stand on the corner. It looked like a little outhouse.
This is the newsstand. This was what Sebi had at First and Pike since the Second World War.
And he made his living.
Oh, absolutely.
He made his living selling those two papers.
Oh, and that's what he did every
Seattle
day.
Times and the PI.
And the PI.
He wasn't kidding around.
Well, Sebi and Lee started the stand in October of 1979, and I came to Seattle in January of 1980. They had each kicked in $1,500 to start the stand, so I gave them each $500 and became a partner.
There we go. That was the first anniversary. We wore tuxedos all day.
We had a party for the first anniversary. We were so surprised that we were still alive after 1 year.
Oh, it was breathtaking. It was really wonderful to be part of it. I can't say enough.
In general, when I opened it, I had an idea that this would be a good thing for Seattle, and especially in this location, because this is a busy street corner.
Need a bag? 5. Thank you.
It was such a node for people from all over the world. But I mean, even local people, if your wife was getting a job in Kansas City and you wanted to know how much an apartment was, you had to come here. We had some guy who was wondering whether he should sail his yacht through the Panama Canal and sell it in Florida. Well, he bought the Florida papers and the East Coast papers for weeks, and to get a sense of anything going on around the world, this is where you came to get it.
Yeah, well, that's what the newsstand represented, was the way things were. People would stop by and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're still here." But then they would walk on. Expenses overcame revenue. You know, so much is changing right now. So when we say we're going to go too, everybody shows up.
Today's the last day. I'll be around. I'll come get bagels. Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, it's been, you know, kind of constant stream of people just like processing their feelings, you know. Today. Right now. Yeah, sorry. Everybody's taking pictures. 3, 2, 1. Yesterday he got a proclamation from the mayor.
Today, the 12/31/19 is First and Pike News Day.
Something will be missing. And it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. It's more than a newsstand.
I'm gonna miss the people, most of all. And then the other thing that I'm gonna miss is just being on the corner in Pike Place Market. You know, people would come up and talk about what was going on that day, ask us questions. I mean, we obviously gave out a lot of directions to the gum wall, but you know, you're just like this part of the community that you don't even know that you're that until it's not happening anymore.
That's it. Last
The
one.
last one ever. That was way too easy.
Now we're just going to go this far.
Ahead on CityStream. If you like to create things and prefer a little collaboration, a makerspace is just for you. June 29, 1933, the Seattle Art Museum opens its doors to the public. Its gleaming Art Deco design welcomed 33,000 people on opening day. And during its first year, it attracted 346,000 visitors. Not bad when you consider Seattle's population at the time was only about 365,000. Of course, a lot has changed since then. Joining us now are two of the museum's curators, Xiaojing Wu and Feng Ping. First of all, what is the first thing people will notice when they walk in?
The most visible change the visitor would see when they step into the lobby is those two new doorways at the end of the garden court. And through those doorways, they would see the beautiful volunteer park through the glass enclosed park lobby.
We are sitting right in it. You can sit literally amidst the trees. You can see the trees eye to eye, as it were.
Part of the remodel involved changing climate control. How does that affect the way you display art?
We have quite a few works that are light sensitive. They're on silk or paper, and they all require climate control to maintain a good condition. So now we have for climate control in the building, we will be able to show many more works from the collection, but also possibly in the future, loans from China, Japan, or other museums in the US.
This museum is completely modernized. We have new spaces for special exhibitions. We have new spaces for the community. We have new spaces for where kids can make art, which we didn't have before. So we are literally in the 21st century now. I'm most excited about the fact that we actually have Wi-Fi.
You're also changing up the way you display art. Tell us a little bit more about that.
In the past, we had Japanese art in the South Suites and Chinese art in the North Suites and Indian sculptures in the Garden Court. Now, each gallery is organized by a theme. So a visitor would experience art across the region and think about the bigger issues behind of those displays.
Our displays now weave together works of art from many different countries according to a particular theme. In a way, we want to activate each and every piece in the way that it connects to another piece. So we're talking about interconnectedness. More than division, whether by region or chronology. So we are mixing it up. We're combining different time periods from ancient to contemporary. We are combining regions, say from South Asia to the Philippines to China.
How do these changes affect the visitor's experience?
We thought a lot about what the audience would like to, when they come to the Asian Art Museum, why Asian art or even the idea of Asia would be of interest to them. And also given today how people learn and how people process information and images, we thought this way of organizing the collection would be much more dynamic, much more engaging.
It's been 3 years since people have been in the museum. You must be so thrilled.
We are thrilled, absolutely thrilled. We cannot wait to welcome everyone back to our spaces. I know this institution is beloved and has been such an important part, an integral part of Seattle's history for a very long time. But honestly, I don't think many people will recognize it. It looks completely different now. I think that everyone will be very excited, and I hope that folks will come back repeatedly. I think that what we have done in the galleries cannot be absorbed just by one-time visit.
I'm really excited about the whole transformation this project did to our museum. And we added one large gallery to the expansion part of the building. And for the first time, we're able to show large-scale sculpture.
Also, I wanted to add that our renovation project has really allowed us to revive the displays, but also to start new research projects in which we have not been able to do this before. When works of art came off of view to prepare for our renovation, there were many interesting new conservation projects that went on, and also research between scholars so that we could look at the artwork more closely.
Thank you both. We'll be hearing more from our curators later in the program. We'll be right back. CityStream returns here at the Seattle Asian Art Museum. Joining us again, curator Xiaojin Wu. Tell us a little bit about this particular piece.
This is a sculpture by the Korean artist Do He-se, and it may seem familiar to you because it was on view in our downtown museum for a while. Our former board chairman even joked, this is our Mona Lisa, because everybody loved it and kept coming back to see it. When it went off view in downtown, people even came back to ask where this piece is. So now we have this large gallery added to the Asian Art Museum. We're able to debut it when we reopen the doors.
And it needed its own larger gallery.
It needs a lot of space, a lot of room, really to show it off. I've been here more than 7 years. As long as I've been here, I've been trying to show it in this museum. But we were not able to just because we never had a large enough gallery.
So wonderful to see an old friend in a new space. Thanks, Xiaojin. From a museum to a makerspace. What's a makerspace? Well, if you're a tinkerer, a hobbyist, an aspiring entrepreneur, there's a place you should know about called Seattle Makers. It's a place for community to collaborate, share tools, and unleash creativity to make ideas reality. Producers Kathy Tui and Valerie Vaza take a look.
Seattle Makers is a makerspace where we share tools and we share ideas and we teach everybody the skills and give them the tools they need to make any idea, whether it's a hobby or a new business or just a curiosity.
We're working on a Da Vinci lock.
But when we first came here, we tried some other projects first, so yeah. Now I think we're ready.
Jeremy and I started the Makerspace 2 years ago, September of 2017. And I was brought on initially because he needed a website and a bunch of back-end support so he could focus on the making side of things and that we could automate as many things as possible to make it an easier business to run.
You can become a member, you pay a monthly rate, and you get access to over $50,000 worth of tools and the expertise to use them. The red light's just like a pointer. We have sewing machines, laser cutters, 3D printers. We have a whole wood shop full of woodworking tools. We have an electronics lab, all the hand tools you could need, and we're constantly adding new tools. We have certifications on the 3D printer, the laser cutter, and the CNC mill so that you know how to use them and how to use them safely.
The more you can get on the bit, the more stable it's going to be.
I started coming to the Seattle Makers about a month ago. I took a membership class and now I am laser certified and I've been here for about a month. My project, the wrapping project, is functional origami containers. So they start out 2D and then you can fold them and create these wrappers. And they're all made out of sustainable, eco-conscious materials. And this little guy here is used as a planter. So it kind of forms into something like this. I started coming to Seattle Makers, one for the tools, and I stayed for the community. And so I'm hoping to take many more maker classes and get certified on these awesome tools that I want to use.
This is a great place for entrepreneurship. You can take an idea, model it, turn it into a tangible object, and try it out.
This is our first prototype of a light installation that eventually will become much larger. Our goal is to pursue stage design. Once we figure out all the construction elements, we're going to build a better one. Acrylic will be cool so it can light can bounce out of it or it can be more reflective.
Tonight we have a team doing our latest team building event, which is creating customized journals. We're going to teach them a little bit of how to design for vector software. The easiest way to do that is have an all black and white image and turn it into an image that they can etch on the front of their journal. Teams anywhere from 5 to 200 can come together and make anything from laser-etched coffee mugs to hand-painted wood skylines of Seattle. When I first walked into a makerspace, I was blown away at what you could do. So our mission is to make the kind of tools here accessible to as many people as possible and give them everything they need, from the expertise to the coaching along the way to make anything they want. We also see a lot of these spaces open and close, so we want to make a model that other maker spaces can replicate so so that we can see spaces like these in neighborhoods all across the city and the country.
One of the things we value tremendously here is learning by doing, and as adults we forget what that's like. We try something, we fail, we give up. We celebrate successes and failures equally. If somebody has a spectacular success, we ring a bell. Same thing if somebody fails, and if you have a spectacular failure, we'll cheer for that too.
Yeah, this is pretty much my dream job. And my favorite part is when people learn something new and this whole world opens up of what they can do.
It's fun watching people realize that they're way more creative than they thought they were.
If you want to find out more about this makerspace, drop by one of their free tours. They happen every Wednesday and Saturday from noon to 1. Or check out their website at seattlemakers.org. Ahead on CityStream, a woman continues a precious family tradition to honor her mom. That's next. Creating food, even using the simplest ingredients, can sometimes be elevated to an art form. One jam maker is preserving the legacy of her Japanese immigrant mother by continuing a family tradition. It starts with the right fruit, add a dash of patience, and the result is pure delight. Producer Layla Kazmi explains.
Do you want some jam? This is a little more tart and herbaceous. It's really good. You want to try a jar? Okay. My name is Alessandra, and I am the owner and operator of Ayako & Family, which is a family jam business. We were founded by my mother, Ayako, in 2010. She was an immigrant who moved here at 30 years old to start a family and didn't have community here and cultivated something so beautiful. Food was a huge part of our daily life. My mother, just before we got home from school, she would spend, 4 to 5 hours cooking dinner. And my mom would often extend, invitations to friends and neighbors. The jam came out of a tradition of going berry picking every summer with my mother and my grandmother, strawberries and raspberries, and that was actually the first jams that she would make at home, were berry jams. And it wasn't until she met this farmer at the U District Farmers Market in Katsumitaki that she started producing stone fruit jams. He also emigrated here, and he really missed Japanese produce, and so he started growing that. They immediately bonded over that, just being nostalgic for Japanese food.
Okay, 225.
Okay, perfect.
One day he had a couple boxes of seconds, which are fruit that is slightly blemished, that couldn't be sold at full price. And he was like, oh, these got damaged on the way over. I'm going to have to compost these. And she was like, absolutely not. This is beautiful fruit. She's like, give them to me. I'll see what I can do. And so I actually remember we went back to my apartment at the time, my little studio apartment, and we cooked our first batch of apricot jam on my electric stove. Very humble beginnings, and still use that method and that recipe today. My mom and I really did enjoy making food together. She always explained to me that it should be intuitive and coming from your heart how you cook. When she became so ill that there just became a point where she said, I can't do this anymore. Do you want to make this jam? And I came to the realization that the business was so important to me because of how important it was to her. My mother worked so hard and built something with the intention of just focusing on her community and her heritage and then her ingredients. Now that she's passed, I really wanted to continue that for her. For the last 10 years, we've been wholesaling to various retailers around the city. I took over a couple years ago, at which point we started vending at farmers markets, and I also started producing a Japanese style bread called shokuhan. I make the jams at a commercial kitchen space. It's called Kitchen Sisters on Lower Queen Anne, and it's a shared space. We usually get about 50 to 100 pounds of rhubarb every week while it's in season. The recipe that we'll be using today is a recipe that I inherited from my mother. So I have the raw rhubarb, so we'll be washing the rhubarb and then, basically cutting it into smaller pieces. And then we will cook the rhubarb with sugar and reduce it down until it's ready to be canned. Japanese food is all about simplicity and honesty. What I really love about what my mom did was that she took something incredibly humble and simple and just honed it and honed it and honed it. That is very uniquely Japanese, is like taking something and perfecting it and just focusing on, the one thing. It's in our ethos and our mission to source thoughtfully and sustainably, working with primarily one Japanese farmer, using Asian varieties.
Pink rhubarb and apricot.
My favorite part are the farmers markets because that's when I get to share this food with people.
You've always liked my part.
Even my mom used to say, my favorite part is watching someone take that first bite of jam.
That's amazing.
It's a simple act, it's a really simple food, but I love being a part of that kind of daily food ritual. We can cook all day long and sell all the jam in the world, but it's really nothing unless we can sort of share in that experience. And that's why I love the market. It's, it's a wonderful community of like-minded individuals who are producing food around the same values.
Some jam? Yay, apricot. Thank you so much. Yummy. Thank you, Justin. See ya.
I think about my mother all the time when I'm making jam or when I'm at the market. She's pretty much always in the forefront of my mind. She was a very familiar face at the market. She loved it. That was her dream. She wanted a place where people could come and visit her and eat her food.
There you are, my dear. Enjoy. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Yeah. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye.
If you'd like to try it, you can find Ayako and Family jams at select Seattle stores and at the Farmers Market in the U District, Ballard, and Bellevue. Now, a final glimpse at the Seattle Asian Art Museum. We're joined again by curator Feng Ping, and Ping, this is one of your favorites. Tell us about it.
He is a very, very rare 14th century Chinese sculpture. And look at his face. He has his very intense eyes, and he has this dramatic posture, twisting his body and grasping his robe.
What is he doing?
Right, exactly. What is he doing? Well, when the museum closed for renovation, I spent a good one-on-one time with our monk here and examined every inch of him. And it turned out there was an inscription on his back, which no one had noticed before. And that inscription was one character in his name. He has always been in such a mystery. His identity, we were not entirely clear on who he was. It turns out he is probably a dragon tamer. So he is inhaling his breath to call forth by his miraculous power a dragon from the heavens. A dragon, why? Dragons bring the spring rains. So he helps to control floods and to prevent droughts.
Very iconic. Thanks so much, Ping. That wraps up this episode of CityStream from the Seattle Asian Art Museum. Its grand reopening is just days away. If you'd like to learn more, just go to seattleartmuseum.org and click Asian Art Museum. I'm Lori Matsukawa. Thanks for watching.